brought to my attention last week that maybe we should, in order to increase participation in the Mintazchim meetings, in addition to what I think is usually, there's always things, get strong and then they get a little bit verschlafen, and then you have to wake them up again. As long as you never drop the hat and you continue even in the slow moments, there's always a showing, which Baruch Hashem we've carried through no matter what. But someone brought to my attention that could be one of the things that was very that drew people. That was in the earlier days we used to always have like 15 minutes of an inspiration, someone speaking, and then we get to Ma'aseh B'Poel. So some people feel more shaykh to Ma'aseh B'Poel. They want to be involved in action, and some people are more whatever field of work they do. If they're in the work of chinuch or the work of whatever it is, at least they tune in and they get an inspiration. And you never know, from one of the inspirations that someone gives in a kuda, this and that. Someone told me that he got literally an entire Mashiach infusion for his classroom. He's Machanach, an entire infusion for his classroom from one thing that one of the inspiring speakers came up. Rabbi Gershi Yavtsin came up and he shared something about these cartoon videos, and he used it for his class. And the entire year, they were all inspired by Mashiach, just because of that. So it would be a good thing to be Chadesh Yemenu Kekedem, and that we should try for next week to try to go back. And I think there's an added advantage. The added advantage is that you get whoever the mashpia is to think about Mashiach too that week. He has to think about what he's going to say. So that will also be a fringe benefit from this Indian. So I just wanted to be ma'oded because I thought it was a good way to infuse more chayas. The chlal now is the chodesh chayas, chodesh of Elul and Chay Elul. So this is the time that we want to reinvigorate the Mintazchim and give us a little bit more. Netzach b'chlal, Netzach and Hoid are the two Sfiris in Chassidus Vet Gebrengt that are called Shnei Badei Arava. The reason they're called Badei Arava is that in Netzach and Hoid is lacking or Pnimi. There's the Makifim are very strong in Netzach and Hoid. That's why they can endure. But the Geschmackheit, Arava says, Ein B'loi Tam B'loi Reach. But yet, the only one of the species that kind of prevails all the way to the end is the Aravis. The Netzach and the Yoid is so sometimes can be a bissel trucken, but that shouldn't change anything. The main idea in the Mintazchim is showing up. So Baruch Hashem, we're here, and we're preparing for Tafshin Pei Gimel, Matzah Shemitah Ben David Ba. I think it's important to take the end of the year and the upcoming new year by the horns with a real bang. Last year, Elul, we had a real chayas because we did the Evikshu program, and that carried us through the Chodesh Elul. This year, for whatever reason, we don't have anything happening right now, but maybe it would be a good time to inspire again more people to join the meetings and to get the Mintazchim a little bit more expanded. Just a thought.
Shnas
Hakel.
It's connected to the Mashiach. Kol Kol Yishuv.
The Melech Kumt Besada for sure wants to see some Mintazchim. So, just something. I this has nothing to do with Mintazchim particularly and with whatever, but I was learning a little bit the Maimer from the Alter Rebbe, the Niladoidi Maimer, the origins of the Melech Besada Maimer, and I noticed something really interesting. You can even attest to it when you look at the Mara Makoimis in the back of the Likutei Torah. Whoever was the one who was compiling it, you see that he always brings from the later Mamarim, from the later Rabbeim, if there's Biyurim, he adds in. Sometimes the Biyur itself, sorry, I'm just trying to get better lighting for myself. So when you add Biyurim, when there's different Rabbeim added, I said from the Mamarim, they bring Bekitzer in the back, the added Biyurim. So over here, you see something fascinating. The Rebbe took this Melech Besada, and the Rebbe gemacht von dem Azat Rask, unbelievable. I don't know how much Melech Besada was always spoken about in the early years. I mean, the Alter Rebbe laid the foundation. The Frierdiker Rebbe talks about Melech Besada, but I don't even know if before that, if there was so much of it to do Elul Melech Besada. In other words, if this defined the entire Chabad approach to Yom Neroim of Melech Besada, the Rebbe definitely took it and made such a trask with Melech Besada. But the interesting thing is that that's the first sif in the Maimer. The rest of the Maimer is pretty harsh. The Alter Rebbe, the Melech Besada is Panim Seichekois, Panim this, the Melech is Freilach, everybody. There's such a. You would think that the rest of the Maimer would all be like, but the rest of the Maimer, the Alter Rebbe is really going strong in terms of being Ma'oder Rachmim on all the Machshavas, Shaloi L'Shem Heima, and all the Yanim, Midbar, and this. And the Alter Rebbe says, what happens if if the Rachmim doesn't work? So that itself, that you don't have Rachmim, you have to be Ma'oder. A lower level, a higher, that's even a bigger Rachmanis on you. And then finally the Alter Rebbe gets to the end, and if all of that doesn't work, you got to go through Eish. You got to do Segufim. It's so funny. How the Rebbe macht sich nicht wissendig von der ganze Sache. It's as if the Alter Rebbe never said it. And if you take a look in the back, you see that, I'm looking at the Isafis, you see that on the first sif, till the Alter Rebbe gets into the Meridas part, he keeps on quoting nonstop, more than any other mimer. So much of the Rebbe's Biyurim. After that, all you have is dry Maramakanis. Seems like the Rebbe, like B'shum Oifen, was not going along with this Meridus Ligin Yanim that the Alter Rebbe is talking about in the second half of the Maimer. The Rebbe is like skips over the whole thing. And the Rebbe just wants us to be in the place of Panim Seichekais, Panim Me'iris. And in that part of the Maimer, the Rebbe is like unbelievable how much Biyurim the Rebbe has on it. Every little nuance, every little thing. I just noticed it this year. It's really interesting how the Rebbe wants Avoid B'Kava Simcha. And it's almost like as if the Alter Rebbe never said it. It's like one mimer. You would think, okay, so if the Rebbe is giving biyurim, he'll carry along in his biyurim from the beginning to the end. But there's nothing from Siv Beis and onward, where the mimer gets a little bit, harsh, garnished. just an observation I had today. Okay.
The month of Elul is look, the Baal Shem Tov's birthday, the Alter Rebbe's birthday.
But the Rebbe takes away all the sting. Like even in the Alter Rebbe's Chassidus, there's a lot of Meridus. He goes into a whole avoid of Meridus about the Moed Rachmim, and you have to kash the Neshama. You can only find your Neshama in the place that you lost it. So if you lost your Neshama in all of your machshavas, Yanim that are not happy from Ketayv and Kedusha, so you can't go somewhere else to find your neshama. You got to go and be mafashresh by myself. You got to go clean out a little bit. So but the funny thing is that the Rebbe, it's like it makes such a to do from this mimer, and he only focuses on the first half, not even the first half, the first third of the mimer, and totally ignores the rest. I thought it was really a really. I think it says a lot about our Rebbe and about where the Rebbe wants our hearts to be in. He's not.
What does it say? Did the Rebbe say that now the Veda should say Simcha, say Tehillim with Simcha, not with tears?
It's such a Simcha to get through. It's so interesting. The Rebbe so didn't want us. The Rebbe so didn't want us to wallow in any darkness. It's really, really special. Okay, that's the thought. Now, I don't know.
No, I'm just thinking. We're talking about Shnas Hakel, and that Shnas Hakel is a Hachana for Mashiach, because I guess Kibbutz Goliath or just the Yidden all gather together.
If the Melech comes beside that Shnas Hakel. So the mitzvah of Hakel, I was thinking, is it only on the Melech? Is it only on the people, or is the mitzvah on the Melech also? It's a mitzvah on the Melech. So it's a mitzvah on the Eibishter to do Hakel too. He has to make sure there should be Hakel. The Chzayin Iranian. We have to be out, show up, and he has to be Makel the Yidden. And if there's a certain Indian that only he can do, in terms of Kibbutz Goliath, the Eibishter is an Indian. What were you saying?
I'm saying I think the Rebbe said to make reunions, gatherings, families, schools, and workplaces, that everyone should make get-togethers.
This Koch on Hakel, was it Did it start in the early years? Anybody know, or was it from Mem Ches and onward?
I don't know. I think later years.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I think the later years.
The Rebbe also coughed the name of Malka Kehillis in later years also. Like just like Moshe Rabbeinu. I think it was in a Nun or an Aleph, Malka Kehillis. Should go to shuls and Chazas Siddhis. That's a whole year, not only Shnas Hakel.
Shnas Hakel,
Of a regular year.
way beyond.
Yeah.
Now, the Nacha 7 Apina was also in Chodesh Elul, which is building 770, which is basically Ben Shabbat Bavo, which is Hachana for for the base of Mikdash also.
This
So,
is completely not. This is completely not on the subject, but someone said this to my wife today, and I want to verify if there's anything to it, and if this was also in the later years. My wife was trying to read someone a shidduch, and this bacher said, and there's a little bit of a Baba Yamin already. He should for sure be getting married.
yeah.
He said that there's Ira from the Rebbe that you shouldn't date in Elul and in Tishrei. To me, it was a shock.
I never heard of such a thing.
Cameron Shker does. Okay, I didn't either. I know that Rebbe is so much encouraged, especially Chasanis and Elul.
Actually, I heard maybe it was. I'm not gonna say a name. I have to double check. But someone told me that the Rebbe told his grandfather. I think they even met.
You have an echo, Mendy.
Okay, let me try something. Better now?
Yeah.
That even Erev Yom Kippur, I think they went out, even Erev Yom Kippur, that I told them to go out, something like that.
Oh, wow.
I have to double check the story and know exactly, but it seems like
the Pashtus in the time of Chazal, the Shidduchim was Dafka Yom Kippur. Dafka Yom Kippur. And Dafka between. You can say between Chamshas B'Av and Yom Kippur, the dating season.
Yeah, what's the story of getting out the Yashnavi Yisrael? What happened over there?
We didn't do anything.
Why is it? It's not too late. We can do something.
Yeah.
This is the
week we should. I have this interesting thought that the reason there's no Lekutei Torah in Pasha Shoftim.
Right.
The Alter Rebbe is called the Lekutei Torah Pasha. The Rebbe says going to get to the Tzemach Tzedek that the Rebbe says the Luchur is certain Maimorim. I think the Elul was both. I think the Rebbe has a beer. Why is Pasha Shoftim? There's no Maimorim, but there's nothing in Lekutei Torah. My thought is that the Alter Rebbe decided to keep everything clean. There shouldn't be any distractions. This message, so we shouldn't be occupied with anything else. I feel the hecht in Yanam, the Chassidische Parsha, all in Yanam. I'm the Oisik sein Nol and Shoftim nun out.
But I heard that the Rebbe said that Lekutei Sichos is I don't know the lashon exactly, but basically is basically Lekutei Torah in a different sort of in a condensed form or explain better, something like, or explain more, not better, but explain more, something like that. So it fits in with what you just said.
Yeah, it's down from Takaton in them. I know the ladies were sending me all kinds of stuff about it because I did a little interview with Shifra Chana Henry. I mentioned it, and I discussed the various different nevuos. So I saw that they're sending it out, and she asked me if to publicize it more or whatever. But definitely, this is the Haidah from the Rebbe. The last Haidah we have in Pasha Shoftim is that we should be mefarsim. Now, I would recommend to everybody. This would be a good inspiration. I sometimes you need a refresher. There is a letter from the Rebbe that the Rebbe sent before his Nesius, and the letter is sent to the Ziknei Anash. I'm sure everybody knows this letter, but it's worth reading it again and again. It's a long letter that the Rebbe sends to the Ziknei Anash in Paris, and the Rebbe is literally giving them over the head like you've never seen. And that even though, talking about Chassidim, them gedacht, Shoyes, Haruchis, and the Chiste gewähnt, and Dwarim, Ma'im, the Berumisha Leute, talk about Ziknei Anash, they said like it. And yet the Rebbe is giving them over that. Why they're not bringing people to Rebbe, to Friedrich Rebbe. And with all they're doing, so the Rebbe is all in Yonim of and the Rebbe that goes through, that people have to know, yes, Rebbe be Yisrael, yes, this. And the Rebbe compares, the Rebbe says, "Ein younger man, even without a beard." That's what the Rebbe says. I know who was talking about. Who was it talking about? This younger man that the Rebbe is talking about. That lady was very close to the Rebbe all the years. So the Rebbe writes, he went out on a board, on those, and after a few weeks that he ended up in the city, his ongehoben kommen brief von Menschen, business lady, a lady who had no shaykhs to Chassidus at all, and no shaykhs to anything. And yet she asks the Friedrich Rebbe regarding her business, even though she doesn't know that the Friedrich Rebbe knows. Why should she ask him anything about her business? But because this guy went with a flam fire and he spoke to the people, like a Novi be Yisrael, like a Lashon, like a Novi, this Yisrael, Yisha Kim, and a godly man, whatever this is. And therefore, he says, from this one, younger man over there, but I'm not even nicht größer Chassid. And yet, von kommt das is kashrus, the feeling it up. And was habe ich von alle Enker, sind die Chassidim, mit alle größer Avoide, if you're not bringing anybody to them. Very powerful letter. I think it's a Chelik Gimel. In the Chutei Sichos Chelik Gimel, I think it is a long letter. It's a type of letter that you couldn't get from the Rebbe after the Rebbe's Nasias already. It gives us a little glimpse of how the Rebbe his kashrus of Chassidus to the Rebbe. So you see how the Rebbe's wanting to get to the Friedrich Rebbe, and how all the other inyanim that might be so important all become utterly insignificant to this Indian. I think this is a very strong, if you can say, it becomes Parsha Shoftim, and the Rebbe himself went out of his way to speak about himself and tell us to be mefarsim about him, that he's a Navi, and so on and so forth. How fundamental and essential this is, that it should not become old, and people not paying attention to it. So Isaac is demanding.
No, we started. Didn't you say doing some research?
Well, we started old like we start everything else. We talk a lot.
No. You said you looked up some.
I said I'm going to do, and I didn't do a thing. That's what.
So let's do it today.
Okay.
Hey, what are we doing?
I don't know what we're doing.
What's the best thing to do? We don't have. When do you want to put it out? Do you want to have up?
So first of all, Shemachana Henry I go through a bunch of nevuos. She put it, okay, so it's at least something. I don't know if it's good or not. I'm going to watch my thing. But I went through all the various different nevuos that were in the previous years. But that's the best I can do is put that, say I can redo it again. What would that help? I did it already with her.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe let's have like a panel, something interesting that people.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to do a panel because we wanted to call together perhaps people who were around during these times, and they can give a first-hand account of these nevuos. That would be a good idea. That's not too late to put out.
So let's do it.
Imagine if we left this month of Shabbos, for instance.
What's his name?
If we can have a moderator.
Hold on, Ruben. I sent you that.
It's still not too late because it's still connected to Pasha Shoftim. If Matzah Pasha Shoftim will promise by us, it's later in Los Angeles. We can have a moderator, and you have a program, and we go through someone who was around by the 6-day war that can tell us about the Hiras that came from the Rebbe, know the inside, what was going on in Eretz Yisrael. At the same time, if we can bring two people, I would have. It's an amazing thing. This is what you need. You need to have two people. You need to have an expert from the Israeli, someone who's big up there in the Israeli, someone who remembers the fear and what the threat was, and they can give you the inside story from the Israeli side of what was going on. And then you can have someone, a Lubavitcher, who was there, who knows the stories of the Rebbe's Hiras that were given. And the two of them were, I don't know, something like that. That's been that story. They can do the Yom Kippur War. Go through 2 or 3. And Gorbachev, We can get Professor Branover on, and then we have a
Hold
hurricane.
on.
You have a hurricane. The guys in Miami. You have 4 stories, 4
I sent
incredible.
you the video, by the way. I sent you
What?
that video. See, I sent you the video about the hurricane and things. I don't know if you saw it.
I saw you sent me it. I didn't watch. So this is.
But
If we can put this together, shouldn't be such a big deal. People love to be heard. People love when you interview them. People love to be interviewed.
You
Who
have
knows?
all the power from Chodesh Elul. You were saying last year we did a picture. This year we just have to focus.
I
Do
think
this, but we have to focus on Chodesh. The fact that we have all this extra power. So we have this. Temchet Mimim was established in El. The Baal Shem Tov was in Zgal and Chodesh El. The Alter Rebbe printed the Tanya in El. That's when the Askamas were. Tzemach Tzedek was born in El. The Mittel Rebbe moved into Lubavitch in El. Besides Chayel, the Alter Rebbe and Baal Shem Tov were born. So I guess with all those. Oh, right! Wow. Okay, so I think we have a lot of energy.
I think also, Matzat halacha-wise, people have to know the background. They have to come away that it's mamish returned. That's what we want to know. We want to tell people that Nevuah returned. That's what you have to, say that everyone knows that Rebbe is great.
Yeah.
But the word is we have to connect it to the halacha and that it's a fel mamish. That's not something in the luft. That's I think the main point here. Because if people know that Rebbe is a Navi Atz Halacha and you can't deny it.
Yeah.
I mean, what if? Then people, you know what I mean? You have to give them.
It's interesting. I remember a couple of years ago. I see how far I've come, and people, because I became far more vocal in the last couple of years. I remember when I was talking this Sikha once Shabbos by my shul. Because I sat there, Lubavitch in the man. The guy was like very, and he said to me, like, do you think you can say this outside of your like into the that takamina navi kahalacha? Like he was so uncomfortable with it. He was literally uncomfortable with it. He thought that it would saying something like that would like get everybody like riled up like against Lubavitch, like you're claiming Nevuah. And the Rebbe came at them and tell people. And the Rebbe built it up piece by piece, halacha.
There's a guy that wrote a book, a sefer, about Nevuah and the Rebbe's Nevuahs. I forgot what it's called. You've seen it?
Nevuah Hagula.
Nevuah Hagula. It's a yellow sefer that I can't say yellow. Yellow. It's an orange sefer, yeah. And that's what I was using to get all the information when they did that interview with me. I went through their book. It's very geschmack over there because they give you all the way from before the Rebbe's Rebbe, when the Rebbe's talking about the Korean War, and then about it goes through step by step. All of the mices.
I know what I'm thinking of. There's a sefer somewhere wrote Nevuah B'Yameinu.
Nevuah B'Yameinu. Okay.
Yeah, I have to check who wrote it. But basically.
And listen here, let me put it this way. If we do it, listen here. How about if we don't have to get that fancy. We don't have to necessarily always feel that we have to get all the big knackers in Lubavitch. But if we have an event, let me put it this way. If we have an event, you have Gershi Yaftzen, you have your father, you have one more, I don't know, that's up there, and they discuss the Shoftim Basic. They discuss someone interviews them with the questions, like and what did the Rebbe say, and what does it mean, and go through the halacha of it, and then afterwards you have a part 2. I don't know how to do it exactly. To figure that out, where you actually go through the nevuahs. So you prove it that it does. Or either it can be one program, a 2-hour program. Next week Sunday. Only problem is that you have to get, if you want to advertise it, you want to get a little bit of branding, a little bit of a thing. It takes a little longer. So I don't know. This week you shaved him, but nothing's going to happen if it comes out a week and a half later. It's in the week of Chagam.
Or you can publicize that I'll be a two part series at a certain time, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you put it out there. People will
put it out there. Exactly.
So I heard a story by Fabrengen the Shabbos, which is negate to everything. It could apply to everything. Basically, when they were building when they were talking about expansion in 770, so Rabbi Simpson, the masker, his son was here, visited here for Shabbos. He mentioned by Fabrengen that his father came into the meeting with the Vada Binyan as a representative of Merkez. So he asked the Rebbe before he went. I guess he asked the Rebbe the Rebbe said not more than $1 million. So when he came into the meeting, they said, okay, I said $10 million. So he said, but the Rebbe said only $1 million. So someone there said, this Versations was the Rebbe gemeint, something like that. Like, you don't understand what the Rebbe means. So Rabbi Simpson answered him. He said, "Ich weiß nicht, was der Rebbe hat gemeint. Ich weiß, was der Rebbe hat gesagt." And that's it. And he walked out of the meeting, and that was the last time he was at the meeting. So I think it's a good. Ich weiß nicht, was der Rebbe hat gemeint. Ich weiß, was der Rebbe hat gesagt. This is what the Rebbe said, and that's it. This is the Rebbe said this and finished.
But in our case, it's nicht the Rebbe nicht geredet keine himmlische Sachen. The Rebbe spoke
right. It's clear
on small change, and after that, the proofs that we have to go through as mered wegen a novi. What else do you prove? What a novi? A novi is someone who says, "I see this," and gives directions, but again, what's going to be. With the Rebbe, you have a whole list. And not only private in Yanim, that's the thing. And Navi was also with the story there with the Chabayim, with the this, with that. But here you're talking about things that are negate, that's publicized, but negate to the entire world, but negate to Ali Yid and things that were printed already in newspapers before. This is all Nevuah. Schwarz and Bais.
There's actually a boy happening right now. You know, there was a story of South Africa, so don't keep by that ever asked. It's going to be okay to live there. Rebbe said it's going to be quiet at his girl at his share. It's mama. It's happening now. You can have South Africa.
Okay, so if we go ahead and do this, I think we need to give ourselves. So let's then choose a time. Let's choose the time when this can be aired. I think when we had last time on Sunday was pretty good. Remember we did Shavasa B'Tamas, we did on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But maybe this one should be Sunday evening. What do you think? Because last time we needed to have speakers from Eretz Yisrael as well.
We'll start in English then.
No. That was last time we needed it. We needed that. I don't know if we need it this time. We're not going to make it a Hebrew, but we need to know who we can interview. That's important. You need to be able to interview someone who has inside information of what it would be gewaldig to have some general or someone who's known, a retired general in Eretz Yisrael, who can give you the inside story of how terrified it was before the 6-day war, like where things were, and also validate also the situation before the Yom Kippur War. These would be one person probably could do them both. I don't know who would be the person to speak to. Someone.
You could also, in Russia, when Rabbi Kogan and they were watching the tanks, everything collapsed, and then Mitamal, the tanks are coming back.
Yeah,
right. They panicked, right?
Right.
So these people need to be interviewed, and we can bring them all on. I think so many people will join because if you put these names up and the pictures of them that these people are being interviewed, I think you'll have at least let's do a Pearson amongst. That's the problem. The problem is that our Anash became so far schloss.
Now we're going to make them up. No.
Okay, I'll ask my father. And then you could also there's some a lot of the Gem stories. A lot of those
Gem
people.
Has a lot, yeah. Gem has that story from the 6-day war. The one about where that the person who the Rebbe said, I have I have thousands of Ben Yochids in Eretz Yisrael. The person who was working for what's his name for not Kissinger, what was his name? The guy that at that time was the guy at that time, the Yid that was that time the ambassador to the UN. I mentioned his name in that interview. I don't remember his name, but there was someone
Not
who was
Weinberger, right? He wasn't Casper
guy
Weinberger.
no, it wasn't Casper Weinberger. It was someone else. Vergessen sein Namen. And this guy was working for him, and he's the one who came to meet the Rebbe, and the Rebbe told him he's the same person that the Rebbe spoke to him about baseball when he was a kid.
Story.
The famous. So this guy was interviewed by Jem. So who knows who would be able to get us that video? Let's take a look. Let's try to get a hold of that video. Who knows? Someone that has some Jem. Again, I'm not sure if it was on Jem, but I'm almost sure that Jem had it in the early years already. Many years ago, it was one of the.
Wouldn't it be in their subscriptions, like in the?
Probably be
Yeah,
there. You know what? Let me get this guy's name. That's we'll start. Let me get this guy's name. I'll look it up.
Saying Yehuda Avner? Who are you talking about?
No. It's someone who I forgot his name.
Mhm.
He worked for this fellow. I don't have the book to Sefer with me here. I have it sure. I'm gonna go there a little later. I can look it up, and I can send you the exact name.
So I'm gonna get it. Hold on, let's have a date here first. The first is a date, no? You got a time when you're doing it?
We don't want to do it. I think let's say now. What are we now? What's this Sunday is? It's coming Sunday. Then there's the following Sunday. I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be out. I don't have to be there because I'm not doing it. But I'm saying it can be produced. I'm speaking that Sunday evening in San Francisco, 2 weeks from now. But that Sunday, I think that Sunday evening, the week later is already Slichas. You can do it the night after the first day Slichas, but I don't know. I think a Sunday is good, either Sunday evening or Sunday. Now, the reason why we did Sunday afternoon was because we're Shavasa B'Tamas. It wasn't a fast. No one has what to do on a fast. I think Sunday afternoon is not such a good time, or Sunday day, because I think people are with the families, with the this, with the that. Sunday evening is probably better. Azoi wollte ich getracht.
Yeah, makes sense.
That Sunday actually is Tezvav Be'elul.
Oh wow! Okay.
Again, I'm looking for a time that this could be done.
How much time do you think we need?
See, the thing shouldn't take too much time to put together. What will take about a week to put together is a flyer, but again, it's always hard to work with a flyer if you don't know what the program is, and the program depends on the people you're getting. So we have to work very fast to get a hold of a few people, and we can put together a flyer. It has to be advertised the week before. So we need more than that.
Actually, a Hurricane Andrew. I think there's a video of one of the shluchim there telling the story. No?
Yes, it's the video. Yeah.
I talked about before the videos and.
Oh, by the way, wait 1 second. That Hurricane Andrew did it happen in Elul? Can we do it even? We could even do
I
it
don't know.
It
Be.
Makes sense because that's when it's hurricane season now.
It was September, I think. I think it was the end of the summer.
And it's always.
So it could be Elul Taka.
I know they celebrate the day. They that's when they made that video. It was on that day that they made the video.
You have this story. I mean, the Rebbe tells a story that someone wanted to know, a businessman wanted to know if he should, I think if he should make some investments, but he wanted to make sure there's no wars and no war coming. So he asked the Rebbe if he could find out from the Frierdiker Rebbe. So the Rebbe said he asked. He's not asking for himself, so it's forgot the lesson exactly. So as Frierdiker Rebbe said,
I don't see your wars. That's
yeah.
yeah, that you bring that. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's a clear nevuas. What do you need? You know. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a big misconception about the book.
Which one? Where's the
start? Oh.
The best thing you will do would be if you can get from the andere side to get someone that doesn't believe to say all his things and then sit down and explain. You know what I mean? No, that's not to be in front of him. Like if you mentioned it once, to get do you believe this nevuah? Get people saying, I'm not about him. Get maybe some stamp people. Do you believe there's nevuah these days? No, get it a bit.
You know who would be good to get? You get someone who kocht sich in the sichos, but maybe Taka not associated yet so much with the very right, the right wing. Rabbi Dubov from England. He was giving the shiurim all the years on COL of the Nalef and Beisichas.
Yeah, it's a svara. That's svara because again, we see the regular.
No, he can be part of a panel. Him and then.
I'm saying even before that, you can have some clips of people.
Yeah, but Kevin, you're making the work already. The thing once we're putting out clips, okay, who's doing it?
I'm just throwing.
Let's try to make it. Let's try to make it the least complicated because we're going to make it too complicated. Yeah.
Just throwing out the ideas.
They always have. I saw, let's say, for instance, at JLI retreat, they have something called line of fire, something like this, whatever they call it. And over there, it's like supposed to be like different opinions of rabbis, debate, kind of something like that. So if you want to do it in that format, machen aber sicher as the Apikourses shouldn't chas v'shalom cool off the Yidden. Say, I know a story that Rebbe gesagt, is nicht geworden, weil ich verlesen nicht. Verstehst? Chas v'shalom.
Yeah, out of 10 million stories, they find something.
You can find an ashakarcha chas v'shalom, and you don't want that.
You have it. You take it out of the video. I don't know, we're gonna have it live, or it's not gonna be live. What are we doing?
A thing like this, I think, will probably be simpler to do it live.
I mean, it's better. It's definitely more exciting.
Yeah. You're catching them. You're interviewing them. Who is there? You need someone who has ksharim, who has connections with like. I'm just thinking like someone like Reb Shmuel Butman, who might know like people, from Israel, who were, I don't know, like someone like that. You know what I'm saying? Someone up Samacher.
Yeah, I mean, Nachshon also would know. Nachshon wouldn't know. People from Israel.
Yeah, Nachshon would know. Nachshon would know.
So you're right away.
But it would be good if it's someone who can speak English.
So you're looking for someone that was involved in the 6-Day War?
I think it would be very interesting of having someone who's involved in it, but the guy has to have a good memory and speak. In other words, the Rebbe geworden that Chas v'Shalom not be a situation of koichi v'yotzim yodi. which means that after an event happens, you could say, oh yeah, Israel was whatever. But someone who's being made al is that Israel was completely unprepared and were outnumbered and outgunned, and it wasn't koichi v'yotzim yadi, it was an absolute nascent Hashemayim, and that no one even believed this would be the outcome, and that the fact that Israel was able to pull it off, the only one who spoke about it was the Rebbe. And someone who can at least give you that, the dread that was going on. What was going on behind the scenes? How were they really preparing, thousands of body bags? Someone to give you the story behind the scenes of how terrifying it was, how it to those two stories. And I think if you bring on Professor Brown, it's all you need. Want a guy like that, and we have a fascinating program.